Nathan Cruz here with CARLSON software, and in this video I'm going to show some of the new enhancements to P3D Topo 2016.2 release for doing surface visualization. So after the initial release, we had lots of great feedback from our users, and one of the very first ones was the ability to do surface exaggeration. And so we handle surface exaggeration because we, in P3D Topo, we can have 3D objects, polylines, all kinds of stuff that are connected or attached to the surface. We've added the ability to change a vertical exaggeration for the entire scene by using a vertical scale. So in this case, I can hit 5, and now basically we're getting a 5x scale factor just in the vertical. Any objects that are on the scene will also end up getting scaled, so they look a little bit funny. But what this really does is allows you to highlight these lower level changes and these much smaller elevation changes, so that it's easier to visualize while you're working on it in particular. So to that point, you know, the surface edit command still works in this vertical exaggeration mode. So if I was to pick this, you know, I can still change this in real time. But again, any objects that are projected onto the surface will get sort of this vertical scaling as well. So, and in addition to the vertical exaggeration, we also have new display modes for surface visualization itself. So instead of just showing textures, we can also now show the 10 colors, which is pretty boring when you don't have many textured areas. Show color by elevation, and so this is basically just an elevation range. Red is the highest and blue is the lowest. We also have color by slope ranges, which are configurable in the Tools Settings Surface tab under configure the slope mapping. And so in this case we have we sort of followed a design scenario where you're doing site and road work. So and in that case, a lot of times you're interested in how the water is going to flow. And so basically red means 1% or less, so the water's not going to flow very much. Anything over 8%, water is going to flow very quickly. 8% cyan, and then basically in most design scenarios we find slopes between 2 and 4% are your typical design values. So you get green for right in that 2%, and then yellow for 4%. But again, you can modify and customize these settings at will. We also have another display feature where you're able to show the triangles for the entire surface. So if you just so like in our edit surface command where we display these triangles on top of the texture, if for whatever reason you want to be able to look at those triangles, you can turn those on now outside of any command. We can also show you the low points, and so these low points are basically anything that's more than a half a foot deep. And that's really it on some of the new display characteristics that we have for P3D Topo.